Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Kirk Fisnick. I'm up here in Fargo, North Dakota. And as I was saying before I hit the recording button, I just got back from a fantastic trip put on by Sizzle, by the company, and we went on a cruise down into the Caribbean and just had a lot of fun. And if you've ever been on a cruise, all the food's included, and oh my gosh, what great food there was. So, you had to try everything. You had to try everything, and then we went on the shore excursions, and you had to try food on the islands that you stopped at, and so I was really concerned with how much weight am I going to gain, and that, and I jumped on the scale right away this morning when I got up, and I was worried about it, and I only put on about 6 pounds, and so I felt fantastic about that. And so right now, even after eating a lot for the last 10 days, I've done really, really well. My body's kept it off. I feel great. I had all sorts of energy, and I share that with people because you think about it, how many people go out there and they do that week after week after week. So they'll put on 5 or 6 pounds this week, and then they do it again next week, and then they do it again the week after that, and pretty soon, they're 80 pounds overweight. And that's exactly what had happened to me over the course of the last 10 years or so. And so I'm taking it back off. And I don't know if you had a chance to go listen to the recording last week. When I was on the cruise, I was unable to do the call. We didn't have cell service out at sea. But what I did is on Friday before I left, I sat in the airport in Dallas, and I recorded a recording with a friend of mine. She's out of New Jersey, and Carol has never had a weight issue ever in her life, and she's always been lean, and I thought, what a great way to kind of wrap up the whole series of calls on weight loss by interviewing somebody who's never had a weight issue, right? And I tell people that when I quit smoking cigarettes, I read a book by Tony Robbins. It was called Unlimited Power, and if you haven't read that book, make sure and get it. It's a really good book. And what Tony Robbins talks about in that book is really this: watch the people who are doing what you want to be doing, emulate them, and if you can do that, then you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. And Tony's worked with the United States Department of Defense. He's worked with the Air Force, with the Army. He's worked with all sorts of leaders across the globe. And that's what he teaches is that you need to really visualize, and the only way to visualize is to watch somebody else do what you want to be doing. And so when I had Carol on last week, what she talked about is that she'll go out to birthday parties. She'll go on a cruise. She does what I just did for the last 10 days, and she'll put on 5 or 6 pounds. But then what she does is she gets back to reality. She gets back home, gets back to New Jersey, just like me getting back to North Dakota. And what she does then is for the next few days, she fasts and she watches what she eats, and she makes sure that she's really careful on the foods that she chooses, and she gets her weight back down. And that's exactly what I'm going to do this week, is I'm going to get my weight back down. I probably won't lose any extra, but if I can get back down to where I was before I went on the cruise, now I'm back at my starting point. So next week, I'll be back where I was before the cruise. And to me, that's a good point. I was 34 pounds down from the beginning of the year, and good weight loss. And that's what I'm going to do. And someone posted on Facebook last night, I posted a picture of myself on the cruise, and they said, well, I wish I could lose weight. And the thing about it is that the weight loss that you need, most of us, we don't have the same metabolism. We don't have the same things going on. We don't eat the same things. We don't get the same amount of exercise. And sometimes there's other issues going on. And so you just have to find the right combination. So what I look for is, number one, do you have a thyroid issue? Do you have a toxic issue, right? Because in my opinion, I think that's the cause, the number one cause of most weight loss. And like Alan and I, we've been on a couple of webinars together, and they talk about sugar being a toxin. Sugar is a toxin. Think about it like this. When your body's exposed to too much lead, where does the body put the lead? Well, lead's fat soluble. It deposits in fat cells. Where does it put mercury? Mercury's a toxin. It's fat soluble. Where does it put the mercury? It puts it in the fat cells in your brain. You think about pesticides. Where does it put the pesticides that you're exposed to? Pesticides are fat soluble. Typically, it places them in like in women, it'll place them in the breast tissue. They're finding all sorts of pesticides in. And so that's where toxins are placed. Well, think about it with sugar then. So if we get excess sugar, we need some, but when we get excess, what happens is that those sugars are deposited in fat cells, right? So essentially, think about that. Put it all together. Your body is treating sugar just like a toxin. And so you have to figure out how do you get rid of the toxins, how do you get them out of your body. And for heavy metals and things like that, we've got a product that's called Body Shield. It works excellent. It uses limamui, it uses different kinds of algae, and it pulls the heavy metals out. We've got fucoidan that helps pull out heavy metals. Then we start looking at sugar. You got to figure out how to get that out. So that's where a lot of the problems come in, and fucoidan really helps out with that as well, pulling the sugars out of the body. So in the Sizzle lineup, I really think fucoidan is really an essential part of that. And so with any kind of weight loss program, I think fucoidan is a good starting point because it's going to help do that. And we're all exposed to toxins. Don't kid yourself for a second that you haven't been exposed to toxins. We all have. Then we start looking at boosting your metabolism, because most of us in today's world, we just are not getting enough exercise. And talking to different people on the cruise, they had their little pedometers on their wrist, and how many steps did they take, and they were always looking at that. They were always looking, look, I took 15,000 steps today walking around the ship, and most people aren't getting enough exercise. You got to make sure and get the exercise. But what you want to do is you can use a few things that can boost the exercise. You can boost the metabolism. I like the 4Restore. What a great product, because it helps to boost the metabolism, but it also does a few other things. It boosts the testosterone levels, and it boosts the HGH and the L-arginine. It helps out with the pliability of the arteries. So I found for myself, and again, I'm not making any medical claims, this is just my own testimonial, which I'm allowed to do, is that I found that it brought my blood pressure under control. Now I take 10 of the 4Restores every single day. So I'm going through 2 bottles a month. And I found that combination works for me. Now, other people might be different. And so we have to look at it. And I know I was talking to some scientists, and they were looking at the product, and they said, yeah, you need at least 6 to help out with blood pressure. And so that's an official word that I got from some other people that outside the company. And so when I'm looking at those different things, and then we have the Accelerator, which is another great product. It's a great product for helping out with boosting the metabolism. And so I use that as well. And if you have low metabolism, those are some of the things you want to do. The Fire and Ice Tea is great. Now, I try and tell people that I don't like to do any of the metabolism boosters after about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because for me, I find that it tends to keep me awake a little bit and at night. And you have to get some good sleep as well. Sleep is essential when you're doing weight loss, because that's when your body does its repair. That's when the repair job takes place. That's when the repair shop opens up. And so you want to do that. So I tend to use my products that are for repair mostly at night. So I'll take the SpectraMax at night. I'll take the Avenger at night. I'll take products like that at night, because that's when your body's doing repair. People say to me all the time, they say, well, what products, you can't take all the products just all at once. And I say, no. I said, just the things that you need during the day is, remember, your body, you got to do things that are going to make you think more and use your brain. So the brain vitality, you want to use that during the day. And then you want to use, the accelerator boosters during the day. You want to use the fat burners during the day, but then again at night, the Sizzle-Lean. I like taking that. I like doing one in the morning, one at night. Maybe if you looking at your pocketbook and you can't afford to do two doses, full doses, split it in half and do half in the morning, half at night. But I like it at night because there's some really good slow fat burn as well, and it takes place at night. So I'll do another one before I go to bed. Plus, with the Sizzle-Lean, I especially like the chocolate. I'll mix a little vanilla yogurt in there. I'll throw in a egg yolk, organic pasture-raised egg yolk, not the white, but the egg yolk, and I'll blend it in there with some ice and some almond milk. And holy cow, does that taste like a chocolate shake or what? And if you haven't tried that, you really should. And the egg yolk kind of gives it some froth on top of it, and it's really good. It gives you some added protein. There's some additional vitamins in there, some really good omegas that are in there that help with that as well. So that's what I do. And like I said, I make sure that I buy organic pasture-raised eggs from pasture-raised chickens. Just kind of something that I do.
Hey, Doc, DW here, buddy, and I've been trying to get in, but real quick, can you repeat that again about that little recipe?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I take with my chocolate Sizzle-Lean, I mix it with ice. I put about 5 or 6 cubes of ice in there, and then I use almond milk and a couple spoonfuls of vanilla yogurt, and then I throw an organic egg yolk in there, organic pasture-raised eggs. And just the yolk, not the white, and then mix it up with a little bit of the hydrogen water and throw it into a blender. And man, DW, holy cow, that thing is just the most delicious chocolate shake you ever had. And it's got that froth on there.
It kind of reminded me of the first Rocky movie when he would get up and he would drink 42 eggs or something and go running, except you don't have to do 42 eggs because of the shake, and then you don't have to have the egg taste necessarily. That would be pungent for some people, not cooked or gross them out, but it's right there. You blend it in. Is that what you're doing?
That's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, because the first time I did it, when my friend in Florida told me to do that, and I thought, oh, no, I can't eat an egg yolk, not raw.
I know. I mean, think about it. But you can.
But it's really good. And the nice thing, too, DW, is that, when you and I did our talk about the hormones in weight loss, a lot of people don't realize that some of the best sources of tryptophan are actually steaks and eggs, not turkey. Steak and eggs is the best place for tryptophan. And do you remember what tryptophan's used for in your body, DW? Little quiz.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that helps you burn fat.
Serotonin. It helps get rid of hunger. It helps get rid of hunger. So if you eat egg yolks, it's gonna mix it in there. It's gonna do a little bit more of the hunger suppressant, and it works really, really good. Plus, we know what else is serotonin good for, DW?
Well, it makes you happy.
Makes you happy, just like being in Jamaica.
You guys look great on the cruise. I'm just telling you, and the picture you just sent me, phenomenal. So I'm just telling everybody right now that what Doc's teaching, he's living, and he's getting the results. They are visible to the eye. A lot of results in nutrition, you really can't see them. What he's doing with changing his body composition, in other words, resetting his body, and you notice he didn't mention putting sugar in anything. He didn't mention go eating a bunch of starches. He didn't mention that you would participate in eating a whole bunch of bad dairy or whatever. There's some things you do that can be good. He gave you the right kind of stuff to do. And we go to Sprouts and we buy the same kind of eggs you're talking about. So that's kind of important as well.
Oh, it really is, because if you get your eggs from the farmer in the Dale down the street who doesn't care what he feeds those chickens, they're not healthy. You look at the egg yolks, Yesterday morning, I had my friend Lisa and I, we had went down the street from where we were staying, and we had an egg sandwich, and they used organic eggs at this restaurant, and you could see the difference. The egg yolks are gold. They're gold. They're not that light, pale yellow, pastel yellow color. They're a bright golden yellow, and they got flavor to them. You could taste it. It's really good.
And so now, when do you do your shakes a couple different times a day like that? Because that's like what you're talking about there is a power shake. That'd be great to slam right after you got done doing bad grammar. You got done doing right after a big workout would be a great opportunity to drink that shake.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I like doing mine before I do the workout. I don't know why, but I feel like it gives me some extra energy. It gives me like the extra fuel that my body needs. So it's not looking for sugars. It's actually burning that shake off. And so I'll do it like I was just saying before the call. I'm doing one right now, and then I'll do one. Sometimes 8, 9 o'clock at night because I don't like to eat anything else. So when other people are kind of doing snacks or having a bowl of ice cream, I'll be mixing myself up another sizzling shake.
Well, here's the thought, so we could share this with more people. Is there a way we could type this Doc Fizz Power Shake recipe out, and we put it on like Sizzle Builders, a few other places, wherever we put it on Facebook, and so people can kind of like, hey, that's a great idea, with a little explanation of when and why.
Yeah, I've got a Facebook page actually called Sizzling Recipes. I could put it on there too.
Well, that's where you need to go, and then we'll just send everybody to that. Mm-hmm. All right, that's awesome. So when you have the shake before the workout, I bet you're finding less cramps, more sustained energy, and stamina as well, correct?
Yeah, and the other thing that I was telling Tom this weekend on the cruise ship, I said, the one thing that I really was afraid of when I went back to the gym, I mean, it's been 30 years since I went to a gym and really worked out. I mean, yeah, once in a while I'd go, lift a few weights, things like that, but nothing where I had any kind of a program. And I was really afraid that I was going to have some muscle soreness and that, because you know how us guys are. You can't just go there and lift a little weight. You got to go there and how much can I do? How much can I lift today? And you really tear it up. And my recovery time, I mean, really, and I'm being totally honest with everybody, my recovery time wasn't days. It was hours. I mean, I'd go work out and I felt sore for an hour or two. And then I was like, well, I some days I felt like I should go back a second time because I had nothing else to do. I might as well go back and work out a second time.
Well, if you have recovery and your body can handle it. Now, are you doing anything with like Renovator or anything like that as well as you're working out and stuff?
Well, I've been on the Renovator. I mean, I had my motorcycle accident August 10 years ago, August 2007, and so I'm pretty beat up. I mean, if you saw me wearing shorts, you can see my leg's a mess. I mean, it's always going to be a mess. I was standing at the front of the ship, and I noticed I felt you can tell when somebody's looking at you, and I felt somebody staring at me, and I turned around and here's this guy, and he's looking at my leg. And he says, man, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. He says, I train orthopedic surgeons. And he says, your leg looks horrible. What'd you do? Right? And I told him, but I've been taking Renovator, almost since day one when I got in Sizzle. I started taking.
He was examining your scars.
He was.
He was like, hey, they cut that way. They did it. I mean, you can see what's going on in his mind already. But you know what? It's your pure 100% gut instinct and will that leg is still on your body because you willed it there.
That's what I told them. Yeah,
you willed it there, man. You willed it there. I mean, and willpower has a lot to do with a lot of this, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Is it willpower or just stupidity, right?
Nah, we'll go with willpower because I know you. You're not stupid.
Yeah, I told him, I said I was too stupid to listen to my doctor. He was actually friends with the doctor that did my surgery, and so it was crazy.
So now let me ask you this. This is the big question everybody wants to ask you, Doc. And you're on the cruise ship, and they don't have enough food there. I'm teasing. How did you just let yourself go for a few days, or did you do like one day this, one day that, or did you stay in the same routine, or How did you handle all that food?
Well, I'll tell you, DW, it was tough. I mean, that's where willpower came in. Willpower came in more with that. But I was looking at the menu, and every day we got to eat in these five-star restaurants basically, and they'd come around with the menu, and I'd look at different things, and people told me before the cruise, they said, try everything. So I'd tell them, I said, I want a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and they'd bring me, and they didn't bring you a little bit, they couldn't split the portions, so I ended up getting, 6 entrees sometimes, and I didn't eat the whole thing. That was, I just ate a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then, but yeah, I just kind of, in my mind, I knew approximately what I needed. And then on top of it, because of the last 12 weeks of weight loss, my stomach has shrunk. And so as long as I listened to my body, it told me how much I really needed to eat. And so I would stop. When I got to a certain point, I'd stop.
So you just knew when to back off. Here's something that's happened to me, and maybe this is wise or not wise, and please speak to it. But recently, once in a while, let's say that, and everybody has this. There's a certain time when someone says, hey, D, I want to get healthy. I want to, get my body composition, which, Doc, your body composition's looking freaking awesome. I mean, you're just nailing it. And that means what I'm saying to everybody by body composition, this isn't about losing weight. This is about returning your body, your muscle tone to where it's supposed to be, and muscle gets added, and fat goes away, and your body composition goes back to how you're really designed and meant to be. I mean, there are genetics. You can't get around that, I mean, people are going to be so tall, and sometimes, some people have, a little bit bigger legs than others, and that is just complete genetics. But the body composition that is on top of that. Now, with that said, what I've been doing, and tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, but everyone does this, and I'll get to my point right now. Everyone has a day or time of the day to where they kind of crave snackies or crave something. Mine happens to be literally 9 o'clock at night, all right? And so, I'm hitting that with carrots and maybe half a shake, something like that, just, some simple things, or some almonds. So I set myself up knowing that that's going to happen, and Miss Helen's ready for it, and the whole 9 yards. Where I used to go in and I would grab, and I would even get the healthiest potato chips or chips you can get. I'd eat chips or a cookie. Now, what's happened, though, just recently, for whatever reason, I think it's honestly, you don't think this is nuts, but emotionally I've been kind of like missing my grandma. And anytime I'd walk in Grandma's house, which I did all the time, I'd want a cookie. And she'd give me a cookie and that kind of thing. Sounds crazy. So I've been craving these chocolate chip cookies. And Helen made some here a while back. But what I've been doing is just taking like a bite of one. Not a big bite, just a nibble type bite, and then I'm done already with it. Is that wise, unwise to kind of get it out of your system? Maybe not eat 12 cookies and dunk them in milk like I would do back in the day, but just a simple bite or a little, and I used to really crave chocolate pudding. Well, I do that with a shake now. That's killed that right there. Boom, done. So can you speak to that for a second, Doc?
Well, I think, like for me, if I had a bag of chocolate chip cookies here, I'll just be honest, they'd be gone, right? My niece was selling Girl Scout cookies, and my mom and dad were down there visiting my brother, and my niece called me up. She said, "How many boxes of cookies do you want this year?" And normally I'll buy $50 or $100 worth. I don't know how many boxes that is. I just say, yeah, buy me some cookies, and then I eat them, right? I proceed to eat them.
That's what they're for.
So, yeah, you don't want to look at them. You don't put them on a shelf and admire them. And anyhow, so I had my mom pick them up, and I told Mom, I said, but don't bring a single cookie to my house, not a single one. I said, ship them off, give them to people. I said, give them to the neighbor, give them to your neighbor Frank, who's a single guy, and he's on a low income budget. I said, give it to him. He needs to fatten up a little bit. I said, send a box to each of my kids, but don't give them to me. And that's what she did. I never saw a single box of those cookies because I would eat them.
Yeah. So what you're saying is simply what you put in the house is going to go through your system. You're going to eat it. Just don't bring it in the home and get the junk out already.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, and the thing about it is, like if you're craving and you're going through some, depression like you're doing, hey, I'll tell you what, having those cookies a little bit, but once you get kind of out of your funk, just get back on it. It's just like this cruise. I mean, I could sit here and I could overeat for the rest of my life. I mean, yeah, I could, but I got a goal. I mean, my goal is by the end of the year. Not only do I want to lose the 6 pounds that I regained while I was on the cruise ship, but I want to lose an additional 50 by the end of the year. And so that's in the next not even 10 months. I mean 9 months. I want to lose another 50 pounds of weight. And so it takes that's you got to get that in your head, and you got to get that goal ingrained into your brain so much that's what you think about, and you make it really part of your life.
Well, I think it's amazing. The average person on a cruise gains almost 17 pounds, 15 to 17 pounds. And so if you put on 6, I mean, come on, that's really discipline.
Yeah. Yeah, I was happy with it. I jumped on that scale this morning, and I was afraid to look down. I thought it was going to be screaming at me, big red lights and flashing, going, "You busted, man." But,
well, and here's the thing. This is the question you get all the time. It's kind of a ridiculous one, but the question is this: why is it so easy? And this comes with a lot of things to gain the weight, but sometimes relatively challenging to get it off. Or with our system, has that been reversed? It is. Once you get your lifestyle set, it'll be harder to gain weight and easier to get it off because of the system you have in place.
Yep. Yeah, and I think, the reason I was able to keep it down to 6 pounds of weight gain, I mean, I ate a lot. I mean, I put in a lot of calories. I kept the tank full the whole time. And but my metabolism is higher now than what it was before I went on the cruise. And
Sure.
So just my resting metabolism is higher. And then on top of it, like I was saying, I mean, we walked a lot. We walked from front to back to front of that ship, and when we went on excursions, we were walking around Haiti. We were walking around Cozumel. We were walking around Jamaica, and we're just enjoying and everything that was there. And it really helped out. But, why is it easier to gain weight than it is to lose weight? The thing about it is that, remember what I was just saying, Debbie, you might not have been on when I said this, is that, sugar is treated just like a toxin, just like lead, just like mercury, just like pesticides. And your body tries to put it in a safe place. It tries to put it somewhere where it's not gonna poison the system. So it places it in a fat cell. And then what your body does, and there's studies on this, there's medical studies on this, that what it does is that then the brain puts out a signal that says, don't burn those fat cells that are loaded with toxins, because now those toxins are going to be reintroduced into the system. And they're going to be more concentrated the second time. And so, that lead that's stored in the fat cell, that's going to be deposited back into your bloodstream. And that mercury, the sugar, all those things. And so there's actual studies on that showing that. So what you want to try and do is just make sure that you're always doing things that are detoxing. I brought a bag full of products with me that I took every day. I had them sorted out. This is my morning pills. This is my afternoon pills, and I had them sorted out into little packets. So I didn't have to sit there and bring a bunch of bottles with me.
Right.
I would take out a morning packet, and I would take that, and then I'd take an afternoon packet, and I would take that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what Miss Helen does. I go on a trip. Stuff is loaded, and you take first, second, third, and then what you take before you go to bed. I mean, that's just how we do it. It's how she does it. And yeah, it's very, very wise. So here's one of the biggest keys to what Doc has said today. It's called prep work. Make sure you have the right eggs. Make sure you got the right protein drink, which we know is Sizzling. Make sure you're set up and mix things around just a little bit. And, but prep work, don't be afraid to buy a Girl Scout cookie, but give them away, or just donate the money and they get 100% of the profit, so there's all kinds of things. But if you hear Doc on his calls over and over and over, it is prep work. Like you can go to our cupboards right now, and the only kind of sweet you can find is that very healthy for you, 86% dark chocolate thing. Doc, they said you need to have a little bite of once in a while anyways. It has the right kind of cocoa and stuff in it for keep the blood sugar levels right. So, and even that, Doc, I'll take just a nibble of it. You know, that's just I mean, literally. But it really helps Helen because she has a massive sweet tooth and she loves the sweets. And so
Yep.
we put the things in our life, you know, that, and you can do, you know, not that you should do the red dyes and all that junk, but there's instant puddings, instant things out there you can get that have no sugar, no junk in them, and then you just get away from those as, you know, I'm talking about weaning somebody off. Now, Greg Durfee's a great example. He's lost a lot of weight, and all he did, he was hooked and just hooked on soda pops. He'd drink like a 2 liter a day of soda pop. That's a lot of pop, and even more than that sometimes. And he got on the fire and ice, and boom, his soda pop habits is gone. And you know, and he'll do the fire and ice, and sometimes just a half a pack in a glass of water, just so he has a drinking water, but he's got a little bit better flavor. So there's all kinds of, you want to call them tricks. You just want to set yourself up for success. And Doc, you've done it. And I know we come into this call and just wanted to honor you, you know, for who you are and how you do things. It's amazing, and we're impressed. And what a great example you are. And just wanted to say we love you, and we're very, very proud of you.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, and it's you know, I mean, if you're gonna lead by example. If you're want to lose weight, lose it, and you'll figure out how. I mean, it really is. It's the right combination, and sometimes it takes some work to figure out. You know, I mean, if you're toxic, if you're toxic loaded, you got to work from that angle. If your metabolism's low, then you got to come at it. What can you do for the metabolism? And if you like to eat a lot of snacks late at night, I mean, I try and make it where I mean, for the most part, after 6, 7 o'clock at night, I don't eat. I try not to eat anything, especially anything big, after that time frame, because I know that for me, it's just not good. So.
Well, and for all of us, so it's not just you; it's all of us. And that 9 o'clock time is a kind of an interesting thing. So we do the same thing. Our last big meal of the day, if you want to call it big meal, is at 5:30. And my kids go, Dad, why do you eat 5:30? Because they're eating at 6:37. Well, I want my stuff digested and ready to go to bed, and it's just your body was designed to do that. Another thing too, setting yourself up for success, is trying to feed your body at the same time each day, so it's not guessing if it's ever going to get a meal or when's the next meal. Once it thinks it's not going to get a meal, it somehow stores fat versus burning it. But if it knows food's coming and the food shows up, then man, it keeps that metabolism that Doc's talking about in hypergear and going. Doc, we love you. What a great call today. Anything you want to add as we close this thing out?
That sounds pretty much like everything I wanted to cover. DW, thanks for jumping on, and everybody, thanks for taking part of your time and get this information out to other people. That's where it makes a difference, is sharing it with everyone else.
All right, that's it for the Doctor's Clinic call. Remember, the world is your waiting room, and you know the truth is they're waiting on you to walk into that waiting room. We're out of here.